Attention, all you fishes in the sea. Welcome to the Fisch Bowl with Sam Fish.
Stop with adapting comic books and
Yes.
IP, and even though some IP is good and worth
Hmm.
adapting, like the real
Yes.
stuff comes from you know writers like me and all
Yes.
everybody else that has grown up watching movies, just movies in
Hmm.
general. I don't think AI could ever replace the human mind aspect of, what where the imagination can create, especially, and the
Yeah.
whole point to that is if you look back on the entire history of cinema, up until the kind of like down point essentially that we're like in now, where the major studios are, trying to put, AI in stuff. And it's
Yep.
because you have a lot of producers who unfortunately are like, and I found this out from watching interviews with Francis Ford Coppola with
Mm.
his self-financed film that
The
came out earlier
Galapagos.
this year. Right. I have
Hmm.
not had a chance to see it yet.
Hmm.
I really, so if you saw, no
Yeah.
spoilers. Um,
Yeah. Right.
uh,
Yeah.
but uh, but like he was even saying at when it was like premiering and they were doing press for it that like the studios have essentially gotten themselves in a situation where they're in like so much debt, where
Yeah.
they'd rather like just instead of making something that is going to last the test of time, they're into just like remaking and rebooting and comic book and IP
Yeah.
and video game,
Yeah.
and instead of like so many writers that I know that I went to school with,
Mm-hmm.
have so many great ideas,
Hmm.
and like if you look at like just the original filmmakers like Fellini and
Hmm.
Kira Kurosawa,
Hmm.
Sergio Leone, like just those people to name as like
Yes.
the old school dogs, and look at what they made. And computers didn't even exist back then. That's all
Hmm.
from the mind, you know.
Hmm.
And then you have people like Lucas and Spielberg
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Brian De Palma, Scorsese, and I mean, one of my favorite filmmakers that's current that reminds me a lot of Scorsese is Guy Ritchie.
Mhm. Yeah.
Especially him and his writing style and everything. I mean, he's such a master filmmaker that if you look at, what was it, The Gentleman,
Mhm.
exactly how that movie is written is from a
Mhm.
person who is like a veteran filmmaker at that point with how the script is written, because he's actually using script, screenplay, and film
Mhm.
terminology to
Mhm.
move the film along.
Mhm.
And even the end, where Hugh Grant is literally pitching, you know, the movie to Miramax Films in London.
Uh, uh,
So it's like that you can't, AI can't write that. you know uh,
no doubt.
Plus,
Hmm.
like, not to mention just film, if you want to look at IP, let's look at IP. How many writers and authors that specifically write novelization or short
Hmm.
stories type literature. I mean, the guy who wrote Fight Club, you know uh, you know
Right?
you
Hmm.
you cannot write a book like Fight Club with
Yes.
AI. I don't care how advanced the AI
Yeah.
gets.
Uh-huh.
So like there's that. But
Uh-huh.
I'm like, I get that AI can help in certain areas and definitely with like
Hmm.
editing, writing and stuff for maybe not like people who are
Hmm.
trained in writing or professional writers, and it can even
Yeah.
help in other areas that I just built a website for my podcast. Mainly AI did like all the
Wow.
generation. for
Wow.
this stuff, but
Hmm.
I couldn't have done that on my own because I'm not like, super tech
Hmm.
savvy. I'm
Hmm.
struggling enough with understanding social media. Uh,
Uh-huh.
you know, uh, but like, it's like the human mind is one of the greatest, mysteries and wonders because there's still so much that we don't know and understand about it. And I'm
Hmm.
also like one of those big, I mean, as much as I'm into horror and everything, I'm a big like
Hmm.
alien, conspiracy theorist nut, you
Hmm.
know, with all this stuff with like the pyramids and ancient history and like,
Hmm.
are we living in like a version of the Matrix? Do we,
Hmm.
think it's like, this time, but it's really like, you know, how many hundreds of years in the future,
Hmm.
do we like, not remember who we are, kind of
Hmm.
thing. I'm like, I could go on and on about that, and that's probably a whole nother podcast episode we should for
I
later.
hear you. But
Uh,
all that stuff is like, Ray Bradbury or the nice science
exactly.
fiction, all that stuff. I mean, I'm personally a huge fan, so you're singing my tune with all this stuff. And one of my favorite shows is The X-Files and all those
Yes.
different possibilities, and I'm a big science fiction fan. And I just read War of the Worlds, H.G. Wells, and it was
Hmm.
very interesting to see his point of view of things in the late 1800s.
Right.
And it's all fascinating. But as you're saying that, AI is a tool for sure. I think especially the student system is working itself out post COVID and then post, with streaming and then with AI. So, and they're all people, unless they're robots, but that they're people trying to figure
Right.
things out and trying to balance their books and all that stuff. And so there, I can see, why, just like you're saying, why they're rebooting certain things and reusing IPs but that's a thing that is really cool that when something comes through, like with Smile, when Parker did that, that's something he wrote, just like with your screenplays of what the things that you write and your friends, and Paramount at the time took a chance on that, bought the script, and then turned into a successful movie. And then they Smile 2, I believe, is a successful follow-up. So what a wonderful token to show that original story making and storytelling is available, alive and thriving, as long as
Exactly.
people, studios are willing to take a chance on it, and and I think people and artists are definitely we should have chances taken out for us because we have a lot to offer. AI, as you said, has stuff to offer as well, but people, you and I, are fans of like these different movies and we're talking about Mad Max or even Army of Darkness when you're back
Oh
mall
yeah. Oh
there.
yeah. Yep. Yep.
We're fans of these things, and AI can't write a character like of Ash very well, but like,
Yeah.
but we love Ash. We see Bruce Campbell's performance of it, and we have that connection that he has that kind of humor, and with Sam Raimi, they have that humor that I don't think AI would be able to like, generate that and,
Right.
spit that
Right.
out.
And,
So
and
it's
where
all about the
where did
connection.
where did they get it from? Three Stooges,
Yes.
the Marx Brothers,
Yes.
all the famous slapstick comedy, of
Hmm.
like the silent films into like the dawn of cinema, essentially,
Hmm.
and one of the things I love about, I mean, it was, you could say, a IP adaptation of Dracula, but Renfield. And,
Yes. Uh-huh.
you know, I happen to love Renfield.
Me
And
too.
I remember reading where like Nicolas Cage, and the makeup artist got the inspiration for his, take on Dracula and
Uh-huh.
back to, Smile and, you know, Dawn of Cinema, since
Mhm.
Cage is a cinephile himself and obviously distant, not so distant relative of the Coppola
You're right. Hmm.
family, so filmmaking obviously and acting runs in his genes. He's a
Hmm.
fan of like the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari and,
Hmm.
the German and Expressionism films of,
Yes.
of the 30s and everything. And
Hmm.
there was, I forget what the movie was, the actual title, but it was essentially like, an evil smiling, character that had like big, not big smile, but the teeth,
Are you thinking of
and
the man that
yes,
smiles?
yes,
Is that
that's
one?
it. That's
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's it. And if you
Yes.
look at Smile, and especially your Smile,
Yeah. Hmm.
and Cage's smile, exactly.
Yeah.
Cage's, massive, teeth
Yeah.
smile with his version of Dracula, you know,
Uh-huh.
it's like, you can see how, even though we're literally a little over a century
Yeah.
later in the film,
Right.
you
Mm.
know, as a medium, to see that where people get ideas and
Hmm.
influences to create something new is going back to something old,
Hmm.
and taking inspirations and, little something from this and a little something of that, and a little
Hmm.
dash of this, a little dash of that,
Right.
and you basically put it in a bowl, which is your mind, and you
Hmm.
mix it around, and
Hmm.
so many years later, so many drafts of scripts later, one idea could be something for totally different, and you end up saying,
Hmm.
well, this would be better if it was mixed with this,
Yeah.
and sooner or later, you come up with this totally, new idea or concept that has
Yeah.
roots in, old, whether it's literature, film, whatever,
Yes.
it allows to create something new. And
Indeed. Well, look at at Wicked. Wicked's an
exactly,
amazing
yeah,
play musical, and it's doing
right,
really well at the box office, and is based on Wizard of Oz, and it has its
right.
own voice. It's not just like replicating or stealing stuff from Wizard of Oz, but it has its own look, style, songs, and yeah.
Right, right. And then, to talk about, just smile again, the fact that,
Hmm. Yeah.
like you said, that's an original idea script, and to show the testament of how
Yes.
successful, to show how successful something new,
Yes.
that's not, based on anything, that's not, a remake or a reboot or a comic book or a graphic novel or an IP of some sort, to show that the testament of
Hmm.
saying to Hollywood, literally
Yes.
saying, here is someone's original idea, original script. They've been working on it for how long? And they you know took, like you said, they took a chance, like they
Hmm.
used to do back in the
Yes.
day when we were
Uh-huh.
growing up, which is why
Hmm.
you had like this plethora of, like, you had like the mainstream movies, the B grade movies, and even the C grade
Hmm.
movies,
Hmm.
and I
Yeah.
mean, I remember, watching like one of my favorite cult films that's had a huge inspiration on me, Highway to Hell. Um,
Okay.
I have a script that is basically like if the original idea was like at the end of Highway to Hell, they have like the epilogue, which tells you what happened like after the
Uh-huh.
movie ended, and it says the main character wrote like two famous video games that were, inspired by, the events, and one of them was called Hell on Wheels.
Uh-huh.
I, the original idea was like, I want this to be like the unofficial sequel to
Hmm.
Highway to Hell. And
Mm,
it's
cool.
since it's turned into something totally different, but I'll
Hmm.
just say that that's like the main basis, probably mixed with like True Romance and like the concept of like Dust Till Dawn doing like a 180 in the background
Hmm.
right there.
Hmm.
Um,
Right. Uh-huh.
but there's something that's always fascinated me about what Quentin Tarantino did with Dusk Till Dawn, and just like his original like beginnings of with his screenplays like True Romance and Reservoir
Hmm.
Dogs, Pulp Fiction, even Jackie Brown. It wasn't until he got to Kill Bill and post Kill Bill that he actually shifted as like a genre filmmaker.
Hmm.
But his crime stuff, there's something about like the characters that he created that
Yeah.
has had a big, impression on me. And I'm like,
That's
especially
cool.
Dusk Till Dawn, it's like how, it's so cool to like the concept of mixing like, criminal elements with like, horror and stuff,
Uh-huh.
that's just like my personal writing style. I'll just say
That's cool.
that's a big impression. But
Absolutely.
I got let's see here. We were talking about working with Alec Gillis and Tom Woodruff
Yeah.
Jr. And
Yeah.
one of the questions that I wanted to ask, and also
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
little bit of promotion here in Pittsburgh, obviously, we have Savini
Yes.
and the Savini School, the
Mhm.
Douglas Education Center, which
Mhm.
also has a George Romero filmmaking program, and has essentially, the last element of like, George's tribute to film and everything is in this school where Savini, he doesn't teach there, but he runs, it's like his school, and he'll stop in and
Mhm.
like, give, advice and stuff on for the students and everything. And I've actually, to help that school, have interviewed a lot of the like senior semester students actually at Pittsburgh's big Comic Con called the Steel City
Cool.
Con, to, basically talk to upcoming, makeup effects artists, what are their inspirations, what are their
Mhm.
dreams. And I've also had Howard Berger on the show from obviously the
Sweet.
original K&B, Robert
Big time.
Kurtzman, and
Mm.
obviously Greg Nicotero
Mhm.
is from Pittsburgh and was Savini's
Yeah.
apprentice. So
Yeah.
my question is,
Yeah. Yeah.
obviously you've had a lot of working with a lot of different makeup teams,
Yeah.
especially in LA and the films you've worked
Mhm.
on, TV shows and stuff. And I
Yeah.
was very happy, to hear that about Woodruff Jr. and
Mhm.
Alec Gillis, because they were one of my like heroes, obviously, too. Um,
Some cool.
so my question is for you, who were some of your favorite makeup effects artists, companies, and teams to work
Mhm.
with? And then
Mhm.
what would you say? I mean, I know you already said that, Tom Woodruff Jr. and
Mhm.
Alec is with a big, honor and everything, but
Mhm.
if that's the top it, that's fine. But if you could, say who was your like favorite to work with so far, who was your like dream team to work with so far, and then who would you like to work with in the future as like the ultimate, dream collaboration of like makeup effects artists?
Yeah, indeed. I'll hit the last one first. I've been wanting to work with Howard Berger for a while, and him. I met Robert Kurtzman at a convention. Was it Pennsylvania HorrorCon last year? Then it was outside of Pennsylvania a little bit. So I got to meet him there. It was super cool to meet him. Haven't met Greg Nicotero yet, but Howard's awesome. An amazing person, amazing artist, amazing talent. That's very important in this industry and the film industry as a whole. And so it'd be great to work with him. And so I've a lot of the shops and people I've worked with, they're just so cool and everybody's a bit different. So when I first got to LA, I made close connections with Spectral Motion, who did original Hellboy 1 and
Right,
2,
right, right.
with Mike Elizalde and his team there, Mark Viniello and Kevin McTurk and all those guys. And I just love that shop and those guys. And that's who I worked with on the Blobman character in Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities. And I also did two characters with them for a Disney Plus show called The Quest, where I played a witch and also the Serpent King. So I just love, you know, it's interesting thing here in LA. A lot of the guys, a lot of the different shop guys, they'll move around to different shops. Like they're like hired guns, which is really fun. They move from like, some people are just like ADI all the time or Spectrum Motion all the time, but sometimes, we need mold makers. They'll shift around and it's super cool. So, but I love Spectrum Motion. I loved working with Mike Hill and Mike Hill Creations. Mike, he just got off set working on Guillermo's new Frankenstein movie. So I'm so
Awesome.
looking forward. He's Mike Hill, he is an amazing artist, and I suggest everybody listening to this to check out his Instagram, follow him because he makes such amazing lifelike like characters. That Guillermo actually I think has in his house too. but his work is amazing. He's a super cool guy. I've had a lot of fun with him. And yeah, he's awesome. I'd love to work with him more. I like to work with good people and to connect with a lot of good people. And there's a lot of them in town. And even so, whenever I worked on Smile, I've worked mostly with Tom Woodruff Jr. Then Alec. Alec was busy, I think, most with Prey stuff going on. So I never got the opportunity to really work with him. I like to be able to work with Alec and what he has going on for everything for his new stuff. But I had a great time working with Tom, and Tom was there. He was like the makeup designer on set for Smile for the look. So he approved the paint jobs, the look, all that kind of stuff. And he was there with me on set as well. And he was looking to monitor. And so I was able to kind of be chummy with him and hang out. And boy, super cool. And his son David, he's an amazing guy and lives just a couple blocks away from me. And I love makeup artists. I love artists. I love being in this industry. And so there's the acting side of me that I really enjoy, all that stuff, and working with directors and writers and scripts, all that stuff. And there's the other side that I get to really enjoy and explore on the makeup, the creature side, and wearing it and working with it. And so I just love that community. So I'm not sure if that did I hit all your questions on that?
Yes, yes. Then I actually, forgive me, I had one more question,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
which is a personal question and for my
Absolutely.
audience as well. What would be your advice for someone like me or anyone listening to this in my audience
Yeah.
that wants to get into character acting? Like what would you say, do this, do that, move here, move there? What type of agent should you get? Like what, you know, A to Z,
hmm
what should be the process to to start to if you wanted to get cast as a character or creature actor?
Yeah. The answer is there is no answer
Okay.
ultimately. And because it's very interesting, I read a book. Gosh, what's her name? Jenna, where is it at? Anyway, so read a book where she said that there is no straight path, one path that leads from the beginning of an actor's life to the end or the prosperous aspect of it. There's no one avenue. Like there's tons of different ways to ascend the mountain, and no everybody's journey is unlike everybody else's journey in a way, just as mine was. My journey is very different, and it's all about kind of stumbling in the dark a little bit, listening to your intuition. This is the advice that I have is to listen to yourself, listen to your intuition, be patient, be humble, be inspired by other people, connect with other people, grow with people, listen and create together, whether it's on a low budget like zombie movie. As my first movie I ever did was called Redneck Carnage with my friend Jono. It's on YouTube, by the way. It's really good, bad. But that helped to set me on my way, and I was able to do a lot of with him off this zombie movie. We did a show he called it Jono Show. It was like a bunch of like sketch comedy stuff. So I got to play different characters and comedic stuff there, and so really the thing is you want to experience things, you want to try things, you want to take risks, you want to be around people that you're comfortable and trust to take risks with, that want to support you and you want to support them. And so it's all about having fun, fun. And when you start thinking like, oh, I want to make $2 million or $200 million, I'm going to be an A-list actor walking the red carpet as a star in Hollywood Boulevard. I mean, that's a lofty goal. That's definitely a
Right.
goal. And anybody can do that, of course, whatever they want. However, to get from, I don't know, like somewhere in the Ozarks, Missouri to like, Hollywood Boulevard, that's a big reach, stretch. And,
Right.
it's just the journey of life, in my opinion, that we just need to move forward honestly with conviction and commitment and what we feel and want to do, and then see where it goes. And we can't force the universe, the world to bend for us. That we need to be ready to work with it, and everything has its timing, absolutely everything. And the biggest thing is just to trust yourself and trust the process, have fun, do the work, stick with it. Like when I took that first acting class, so my community theater program there, like I would have loved to quit. I would absolutely have loved to quit because it was very difficult, but I stuck with it, and feel, don't be afraid to fail. I took some classes at the clown school here in LA, and that's about clowning. And it's amazing, by the way. I highly recommend it. Clowning is all about learning to fail and then fail again, because we're all vulnerable. That's another thing, vulnerability. You need to be vulnerable. And while also having a strength that is completely unshakable. And so, I mean, I could talk about this for a long time, and it's a very, so that's all in theater, that's all in film, and to mostly just pursue the work you love doing with the people you love doing it with, as my good best friend Nathan Shelton often says, is that. So, and you'll find your road, and there's never, if you think it's too late to start, well, that's up to you to decide when is too
Right.
late. There is no never too late. We know a lot of actors, big actors, that started their professional film careers late in life in their 50s or whatever.
Exactly.
um
Morgan Freeman was, I think, 50
yeah.
when
Wow.
when he did Shawshank Redemption. That was
Yeah.
his first major film. Samuel L. Jackson was, I think, 42 when
Wow.
Pulp Fiction was like his big breakout role, and he had been in, obviously, other films and cameos, smaller parts and stuff, but his big break was not until 42 with Pulp Fiction.
Wow.
The screenwriter for Blade Runner w was in his 40s as well
Wow.
before he was discovered, and
Fantastic.
obviously I'm sure one of yours and mine top favorite science fiction films of all
Big
time.
time. Absolutely.
I also have to give a big shout out to 2049. That
Hmm.
that that's one of like
Yes.
the only re like sequel, essentially reboots
Right?
that I can like justify
Yeah.
them doing, just
Yeah.
because, like, I mean, you go back and look at the first one, it still
Yeah.
holds up,
Right?
with special effects and just what they can do now with everything, for a film like that, and also how the director who also is doing the Dune movie reboots
Yes.
or remakes that I am a fan of. I still
Me
think
too.
it doesn't have like the same element as the Lynch one did.
Hmm.
I like them. I also just finished the Dune Prophecy on
Cool.
HBO, which I
Yeah.
thought was really good. Um,
Hmm.
my only complaint is, I think HBO is at a point where if they don't have nudity in
Yeah, no, good
in
point.
in in, in, in their shows, it's not HBO.
Right.
And you
Though, except
know
for like the Penguin, there wasn't any nudity in
that's
Penguin, was
right. There
there?
wasn't any
Yeah.
nudity in the
And that
Penguin.
was an amazing show.
That was amazing,
Hmm.
but this the second episode of Dune Prophecy has.
Hmm.
I'm sorry, it's one of the most over sexualized, you know, scenes. Just as like they threw it in there, and I'm like, Dune is one of my, all-time favorite, not just film
Hmm.
but literature, sci-fi, franchises, and there was no nudity in
Yeah.
Dune. It's not one of those
Yeah.
sci-fi novels and film franchises that has nudity in it. That's the that's my only
Yeah.
complaint with Dune Prophecy is unnecessary nudity just to throw it in there. But the rest of it, I was very impressed with. I think people who, are big Game of Thrones fans that need something new to watch, check out Dune Prophecy.
Yeah.
I heard it got renewed for season two. It's
Cool.
also, I think, it's only 6 or 8 episodes,
Okay.
So it's like a lot shorter than like any of their other, big, you know,
True.
series that they have that usually are like 10 or 12 episodes.
Hmm.
It's more like a mini mo like how they used to do mini series. It's almost like a
Yeah.
mini movie. Mm,
Cool.
The budget is outstanding.
Mhm.
It's like if you were for people who were like, is it the same budget as, the movie Dunes, the universe that
Hmm.
it's in, or is it like a TV budget? HBO, Warner Brothers went all out to make sure that if they were doing like a spin-off from the
Mm.
movies, it's going to be movie quality.
It's
And
good. Needed.
actually, the two shows, ironically, that were back to back that I thought were the best series to come out from HBO in years was The Penguin and Dune
Hmm.
Prophecy. Um,
Yeah.
the writing in The Penguin and Kristen,
Yeah.
I can't pronounce her last name. The episode where she gives a speech to the family right before
Yeah.
murders them all with
Hmm.
like the gas in the house from someone who really admires character acting and not in
Yeah.
like the makeup sense or the creature sense, but
Yeah.
from like a character actor perspective.
Mm.
I look for the little like nuances
Hmm.
that the people add to the scene, and if I'm trying to get her on the show, and the question
Mm.
I want to ask her that I'll say to my audience right now that I'm wondering from a viewer
Yeah.
versus like, was this in the script or was this like you
Yeah.
improving the character?
Yeah.
Is when she's giving that speech and she's eating the meatball, how
Mm.
she
True.
stops in between and like sticks her, in her cheek and, just like,
Hmm.
that,
Hmm.
you know, um,
Hmm.
like I'm wondering, is that her at being a character actress or actor,
Hmm.
or is that actually in the script? Because that
Yeah.
that seems like something that you know, I don't think even us as writers, could write something that, meticulous
Yeah.
about the character or any character. Some stuff has to be just made up on the spot. And on the
Big
subject
time.
of, Army of Darkness, Bruce Campbell came to Pittsburgh not this past year, but the year before, literally on like my birthday weekend. And
Awesome.
he was showing Army of Darkness and touring with Last Man Standing. And
Okay.
he said, to the audience when they were asking about Army of Darkness, since that was like the movie they were going to show, he
Hmm.
said, all the lines that were like the most iconic, lines from that film were
Uh,
all made up on the spot.
oh,
It
wow.
was literally like, Sam said, we were talking, he said, it would be great if you just said this like this, and obviously so many of the gimme some sugar baby line was
Shop
like
smart. Shop S smart.
right, right. That was all like on the spot. Like Sam Raimi and Bruce were, and Ivan Raimi were just like, wouldn't it be funny if you just said said
That's
said it
awesome.
like said it
That's
like
cool.
this, so and to the testament of like the whole AI thing when we were talking about,
Yeah.
with screenwriting and everything, sure, the writer can really create some imaginative stuff, but it also takes, the element of, all the other components that come in to make the script come alive, including
Hmm.
the actor, the director, wardrobe, special
Yeah.
effects, you know, stuff that, because so many of things that happen in film that are so like iconic are all either mistakes or was improv by the actor or, the team essentially,
Yeah.
on the spot. Another great
Yeah.
example is classic film, The French Connection. The scene where there's the big, car chase and Gene Hackman like speeding down whatever in New York City, and
Hmm.
he literally the door opens and he says, "Get out of the way," and he knocks off the door and keeps driving. That was not supposed to happen. In fact, the person who opened that door could have been killed, uh,
Oh,
or
geez.
seriously injured,
Oh,
and because that was not supposed to happen. It was
oh my gosh.
some random person in New York City that didn't know they were filming there and opened his
Oh,
door and breaking off the door and keep driving. And think about how many movies have like copied stuff like that, and
uh-huh.
that was all like by accident. So some stuff is that like there's the writer, and the writer can create some really great groundwork essentially that the movie is based off of and
Hmm.
made into, but some of
Yeah,
the movie magic can only be made literally on the spot or even by
totally.
accident, that makes it so iconic. Um,
Absolutely. It's all a collaborative art form, and
exactly,
it's in the moment. Yeah. Hmm.
exactly. So before we go any further, let's last two questions. Uh, I just remembered I wanted to bring up those last two things because it was
Yeah.
on my mind and I didn't want to forget it after the fact. But what are some of your favorite films,
Yeah.
horror, in general, and any upcoming projects to promote?
Absolutely. Yeah, so I do like a bit of horror, of course. One of my favorites, Halloween's very big for me, so I always make sure I watch the big ones that I really enjoy. And the big ones are Romero's Night of the Living Dead, the black and white. Love that one. Love The Exorcist. Big fan of that. Big fan of The Crow, Brandon Lee. That's very special, important to me.
Same here.
And you too? Yeah,
Oh yeah, I interviewed the
love it.
director.
Oh, no kidding. Oh,
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah, that's one of my fondest interviews. Um,
Oh, that's so cool.
the music was such a big part of that movie, and
Big
uh,
time.
in all honesty, not any disrespect to Bill Skarsgård, but fuck
Hmm.
that movie.
Yeah, yeah, I won't see it myself, but that that first crow is special. It's lightning in the bottle, like
Yes,
literally,
yes,
like well, not literally, but I really enjoyed that movie. I also was rewatching Joaquin Phoenix and Joker. It's one of my favorites. I love it. I love it. I love it. It has a special contemporary modern meaning and message to it, and just about a person. And I mean, it's not so much like what the Batman character is, but I just
right.
love it. He's good. It's a good one.
Have you
Mm,
seen the second one yet?
I haven't. I've been really looking forward to it, but then I heard it was a musical, and I'm like, uh,
That's what I heard too, and
yeah.
I'm sorry to sidetrack real quick, but
Oh, good.
I want to bring this up because
Yeah,
that
yeah.
movie has gotten a lot of shit,
Okay.
and it just like premiered like last week or the week before on
Hmm.
HBO Max.
Okay.
I watched it there, and I
What'd you
wanted to
think?
base my own opinion. Because usually, if a movie gets a lot of shit, that means I'll like it.
Yeah.
And in this case, not only did I like it, but I thought it was 10 times better than the first one.
Interesting.
Um,
Interesting.
and
Okay.
the reason I say that is in both cases, it was like we were talking about earlier with Hollywood allowing like an original script to be written
Yes.
and
Yeah.
for the film, and obviously like you just mentioned how it was in the Batman universe but like wasn't
Yeah.
actually like Batman. I really like the first one a lot, but
Hmm.
my biggest issues with it is that it was essentially just like mishmashing Taxi
Hmm.
Driver and The King of
Yeah.
Comedy into like one movie with like a
Yeah.
little darker, tone, and the fact that they even had Robert De Niro play essentially like the
True. Good-
reverse version of his character in The King of
Yeah.
Comedy was
Yeah.
even more like two on the dot,
Good point.
for
Yeah.
me. I liked it.
Hmm.
but
Mm,
those are my issues with it. Um,
yeah.
the reason I like the second one really a lot more is because yes, it's a musical. Some of it is
Hmm.
like
Yeah.
it's not Wicked, where like the
Yeah.
whole thing is a musical, and in fact, the only musical elements are really showing you how disturbed Joaquin Phoenix's character is because it's all in his head.
Mm,
Um,
mm.
so, like, yes, there's some musical
Okay.
elements to it, but some of the musical numbers they do are so like, it's so like a homage to like Sonny and Cher and
Cool.
stuff from like the that era,
Yeah.
where it's supposed to be taking place. And, I'm not a Lady Gaga music fan at all,
Yeah.
but
Uh-huh.
I respect her acting. Um,
Yeah.
Same thing with Justin Timberlake. I hate his
Hmm.
music, but I think he's
Yeah.
a great actor. Um,
Yeah.
the only musician actors that I like are Debbie Harry,
Mhm.
Henry Rollins, Ice-T, and like all the rappers you could say from the 90s, 80s, 90s.
And of course, Sting was pretty awesome in the original
Sting
Dune.
is another one, especially
Yeah.
Lock, Stock, Two Smoking Barrels.
Yeah.
Guy Ritchie again,
Yeah.
among the other stuff he's done, but among Zoolander too.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
but yeah, I think rock stars have a better track record for acting, and rock stars and rappers have a
Hmm.
better track record for acting in movies than pop stars. You know, I mean, yes, Beyonce has been in a bunch of movies, but was she a
Uh-huh.
great actress?
Yeah.
I mean, I mean that's debatable,
I haven't
right?
seen him, but
Um, you know, there's that. But didn't
yeah,
mean to
yeah.
sidetrack there. Just wanted to give you my opinion on
I appreciate that. I'm good. Yeah,
Joker
I will
2.
check it out as soon as I can.
It's really worth watching.
Great.
It's excellent film.
Awesome. I know there's a guy I modeled with at V Neal's makeup school, and he died. He was a background actor on the Joker too, and he's always looking forward to it. And he passed away, unfortunately, summer of last year. And yeah, so yeah, so I want to see. Definitely want to see that to see if I see him in there. But yeah, I'm glad to hear that it's a good movie. So I'll definitely be checking that out. Yeah, thank you.
Definitely. And for those of my listeners, check out my V Neil interview.
Oh, cool. Yeah, she's awesome, isn't
Yeah,
she?
yeah, great, great, great. Again, one of the Godfather,
Mhm.
godmothers
Mothers,
of
uh-huh. Big time.
makeup effects.
Absolutely. I love working with her. And so let me segue then. So
Yeah, yeah.
to do for your last question. So one thing I do can plug for sure is I'd worked on a movie with V. It's called Wolf and the Lamb, The Wolf and the Lamb. So it's currently in post-production right now. We shot that in Montana outside Yellowstone, this cool film ranch, and it's a Western, supernatural Western. And so I get to play a fun character in it, and I got to work with V on it. And so I was in her chair every day for an hour, hour and a half, and I just had the greatest time with her because I love, I did a, I like doing applying makeup as well. I used to do it in the theater all the time. So and I love learning about it and seeing how it goes and seeing how she handles makeup and how she applies it and it's just technically and artistically it's just so awesome. So one of my most rewarding favorite things to do is sit in the chair with her and just like talk and then learn from her and hang out. I just love it.
Definitely.
So we have that movie coming up. It's going to be a good one. I think it's a great script. Directed by Michael Schilf is his name, and produced by a company called the Lunar Door. So that's going to be coming up. I'm not sure of the release, hopefully this year, but looking forward to it. And again, V Neal does. She's retired, but she came out of retirement pretty much to do this movie. So the makeup is done by her, and yeah, it'll be fun. So.
Awesome, awesome.
Mhm.
I believe I may be incorrect about this, but I believe V teaches at CMU. which is here in Pittsburgh, obviously,
Okay.
Carnegie Mellon University. Um,
Okay.
believe that is, I want to say that I believe that I know that Anthony, what is his last name? C3PO teaches there.
Daniels.
Yes, Anthony Daniels. He teaches there periodically
Cool.
as well. But obviously, that's a big arts school that a lot of
Awesome.
actors have studied there and gone on to be obviously big names in Hollywood.
Hmm.
But sorry to plug
Right on.
all this
That's all
Pittsburgh stuff.
good. Yeah,
But yeah,
absolutely. No, there's a lot of
yeah.
stuff happening there, which is really cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
There's another convention on the topic of Ramiro, like we were talking about.
Hmm.
Have to plug these guys because I covered it earlier this summer, and I'll be releasing the interview soon.
Hmm.
Living Dead Weekend,
Cool.
obviously a convention for all you Ramiro fans out there and
Hmm.
everything. I like to call them my family away from my family.
Hmm.
All the Ramiro people.
Hmm.
And if you get a chance, I'm not sure if you ever have been out to Pittsburgh or have shit up film here or anything, but we do
Hmm.
have big horror scene, big film
Sweet.
scene, and a lot of different Comic Cons.
Yeah,
So
love it.
if you ever get out this way for one of the Comic
Absolutely.
Cons, I'd love to interview you in person.
Absolutely.
Take
Let's do
you
it.
to my cousin's deli in an area called Oakland. It's called Food for Thought, and
Uh-huh.
he makes my personal favorite. It's called a Pittsburgh Reuben, and
Cool.
it's essentially kielbasa instead of corned beef. So that sounds
Okay.
enticing. Hopefully, we can get here sometime in the future for a Comic
Absolutely.
Con or a film or something. Love
Yeah,
to
we'll
meet
need
you
to
in
stay in
person
touch.
and chat more and
Absolutely.
everything. I do have your email now.
Yeah, I know. I'm so glad. Yeah,
And
reach out. Yeah,
I follow
absolutely.
you on social media and all that, so we will
Hmm.
I definitely keep in touch. Um,
Absolutely, Sam.
uh,
Yeah.
any other upcoming projects or anything before we 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 swim away from each other?
Yeah, right. I'm currently in the middle of working on another indie horror in Montana with a good group of people, and that hasn't been released or announced yet, so I better not say anything about it. But it's a real fun
Okay.
script. It's a horror. It's a fun one. So, and yeah, that's good. So that's a current thing, and hopefully everything has still been kind of quiet in the industries, but here things are kind of ramping up or starting up. So here's the looking to 2025, and just for a lot of things happening this year. And I just hope that more movies are made and more people can be successful and enjoy and be creative. So I'm here for it and I'm ready.
Awesome. Awesome.
Mhm.
Kevin, it has been a real pleasure talking with you.
Yeah,
Really, obviously we have a lot in common,
yeah,
and could obviously talk for hours and hours,
heck yeah.
uh,
Oh
which
yeah.
I hope to do in the future, and definitely get you
Yeah.
for another round of swimming in the bowl.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'll let
But
you know. I'll do I'll ask my convention agents to see if there's anything happening in Pittsburgh they can get me to this coming year. So I'm booked for two things so far this year, but nothing in Pittsburgh or Pennsylvania. So, but if I do, I'll reach out. I'll let you know.
I'll tell you right now the next big convention.
Okay.
It's actually the big Comic Con, so
Okay.
you probably get like the most benefit and fan base
Sweet.
that would come. It's
Okay.
in Monroeville. The convention is called Steel City Comic Con,
Bill City
and
Comic-Con. Okay.
they're literally starting to book for it now.
Great. Okay.
And it's also three times a year, April, August, and December. So even if you can't get there for April, there's August and December. Um,
Awesome.
but it's the biggest Comic Con. They had like Bryce Dallas Howard there this past December, Catherine
Nice.
Newton, another big name in horror, upcoming horror scream queen. They've had like Pam Grier, Josh Gad was there.
Hmm.
They've had John Cleese, uh,
Mm.
Warwick.
Oh, wow. Awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome.
so it's definitely one that's
Okay.
like a big one.
Okay. Appreciate
And
that, Sam. Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. But Kevin, it has been a
Yeah.
pleasure talking with you.
You too, Sam. Thank you.
And
Yeah.
thank you again for taking the time to swim in the bowl with me.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thank you, Sam. Yeah,
Absolutely.
let's swim
Absolutely.
again.
Absolutely. When the temperature is just right.
Yeah, I agree.
Awesome.
Thank you
Thank you
so much,
so much,
Sam.
Kevin.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Hey there, all my fishes in the sea. Thanks for tuning into today's episode and for being a subscriber. Your continued listenership and support means the most and helps keep the show growing to deeper and deeper depths. I want to let all my guppies in the sea know the Fisch Bowl has now officially partnered with FastCustomShirts.com, where they're now selling custom Fisch Bowl t-shirts under their podcast and website section. Every t-shirt that's purchased helps and goes a long way to keep the show growing to deeper and deeper and higher depths. I also now have custom hats, beanies, handbags, pens, mouse pads, everything to make you look like the coolest looking fish in the sea, which you can DM me directly on Instagram at the Fisch Bowl 88 or on Facebook at just the Fisch Bowl, or you can friend request me, Sam Fish, directly and get yours today. Your continued listenership and support again means the most. It's the most important fishes that flock together. We are a school of fish and we keep the unit going. Let's all keep swimming upstream.